Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey guys, before we kick off on the episode, I want to introduce you to a new phase of the Home Building Hub. We have decided to go back to school, that is SKOOL. We've created a community based on the back of a podcast we've been running for so long now. We've created a community for you, for all home buyers to jump in and get access to a whole range of tools, checklists, information, and most importantly, find other home buyers in there so you can follow people's journeys, you can share your own journey, and we're excited to build the most trusted community that is independent and objective in the whole country. So get in there, it's SKOOLschool.com. Look up Home Building Hub, download the app, come and say hi, and we will see you in there. Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Home Building Hub. You're with Colin and co-host Darren Brennan, as always. And Dazza, today we're sort of going to wrap up the year, give a bit of an insight into some of the things we've learnt, some of the things we see, I guess, ready for 2026, and outline the 6 key steps to help you get ready for 2026 if you are planning to build, help you get in early and go from there. So, Dazza, how are you today, buddy?
Going good, mate. Yeah, looking forward now to the Christmas break and a few weeks off and, a bit of a chance to refresh. It's been a long year, mate. It's been a really good year, but a long year. And, it's the market's still, certainly in Victoria, has been, I think there's probably 3 tiers of market, actually. There's the Melbourne market, there's the regional Victoria market, and then there's everywhere else in the country that's not in Victoria market. And we happen to be, I happen to work in the Melbourne market, and it's still been a grind out there, but, things are certainly looking more positive. And, yeah, it's certainly the break's going to do us well, get us back refreshed, chance like others to put your thoughts together on what you want to achieve next year and how you want to go about that. And I always enjoy this time of year. I think it's a good time of year to really start to set up the next year and be really prepared when you come back to work and be prepared for all parts of life at that point, which is great.
Yes, and a lot of us put the personal admin to the back of the list sometimes, don't we? So because the work's so busy and taking kids here left, right and centre and all that sort of stuff. So it is a good time to do that. But we just want to give you an insight. It will be Melbourne focused because that's where we are. We can't speak for other states in this sort of topic as well because we would be really guessing because we're not in that. But it'll just give you a bit of an insight one way or another wherever you are. So let's jump in, Daz. Let's start with a summary of what we've seen this year so you guys can take some of those lessons that we've got from 2025.
Yeah, I think if you kick off with buyer's confidence, there remains hesitation, although, there is some positive news out there, which is obviously throughout the interest rates dropped and it's hard to know what the next move is. And we'd like to think it'll be down. I think the Reserve Bank's probably waving their stick around to hope that people don't spend as much on Christmas presents this year and we curb inflation and then hopefully we can see some interest rate drops throughout 2026. And that'd be a really positive position for us to be in. I think that builders' trust is really starting to grow back. It's been a long time since the Porter Davis days and the headlines on a daily basis about another builder going broke. And I think there's a fair bit of stability with builders now. So I think that's really, really positive. And I think that certainly helps reduce the hesitation that people have about signing up with a builder and feeling confident that they can, certainly build their home in a timely fashion and look after them. The real positive, I think, this second half of the year has been the government's 5% deposit scheme for first home buyers and also extending on that for single parents, etc. And the thing with that scheme is if you haven't owned a home in 10 years, you're also applicable. So if you haven't owned property in 10 years, again, talk to your broker, do your own research on that. But there's some real positives with that. And I think a lot of people have taken up on that scheme. I think it's a really, it was probably a scheme that wasn't spoken about enough before. So it has been around previously, but with the lifting of the income caps, the lifting of the actual amounts that you can buy up to, I think it's become really relevant, and that's been really positive. So, again, if you don't know anything about it, we've recorded episodes on it, but also do your own research. Look up the government's 5% deposit scheme, and it's a really great tool to help people get into a new home. So,
Yeah.
how about you?
Good.
What else, mate?
Yeah, buyer confidence is a good one. We've got a couple more we'll touch on, I guess, relative to that. But one of the things we look at is land availability and land pricing. It's obviously driving whether people are building houses. They need one of those blocks first, I'd say, Daz. So what's interesting, I think, this year is you've got in Melbourne, I mean, we've got this cycle interstate where there's no land available. Like I was talking to a guy up in Queensland through this week, and he's like, everyone's coming to Melbourne. There's no land available where I am. It's just you got to be waiting and waiting and waiting. So I think we've seen land availability there in Melbourne throughout 2025, and we've said, Darren, we've said it for 12 months. You should get in. Blah blah blah. It sounds a bit salesy, but the truth is we're going to hit a point where there's no titled land left. Titled meaning it's ready to build on. So if you want to get cracking, you got the finance, found a builder you like, but you can't find a block that suits, that's because everyone else is snapping them up first. So I think the availability will become more difficult for titled land. It already is, truth be told. Pricing is interesting as well because to be honest, Darren, I think it's all over the place at the moment. I think it's quite inconsistent. You've got some areas that pricing's gone up significantly, some that's sort of stayed around the mark, and some of those estates who sold untitled blocks and people can't settle, that's still happening. So they're putting those back on the market as well. And yeah, so I don't think the pricing is scary, hasn't gone up in a scary amount. There's some good opportunity out there still for pricing, but probably the trick, Darren, is land availability is becoming more scarce in our experience. So you'll be hitting the point where you've got to buy a house and build in contingency, and you've got to wait for the land to title. Costs you more money and time in the long run.
For
So
sure.
yeah,
I think the other bit sort of tying to that land availability is the builders, their timing. One, getting a house to site seems to have, uh, some of the timeframes I'm hearing out there are really strong. The guys I work for, we're getting some jobs to site in, world record time, which is great for our business. But also the competitiveness on pricing. So pricing, every builder's sharp on price right now. So it doesn't matter whether you're talking to any of them, you'll find that the competitiveness on pricing is really strong right now. And that's not always the case. Sometimes, there's distinct gaps between different tiers of builders. So, that those gaps have really shortened over the last, probably 2 years, but more so right now, I think, than ever. But the other side of that is we're seeing investor movement into the market, like you said, people looking from interstate, etc. Interestingly, with those collies, they're not emotional buyers. These are people just working out the sums and saying that's a great place and good value to invest in right now. That's what I can afford. That's what I can buy into, and they're not worried about am I getting 40 mil stone bench tops or 20 mil stone bench tops. They're worried about is this going to make me money in the long run? Am I going to be able to get a tenant? What sort of rental return? Are there any other costs, etc.? Some of the handbrakes that have been on the Victorian market, such as land tax, they're taking all that into consideration and still realising that actually it's a really good investment. So,
yeah,
that's really, really positive to see that investor movement in the market.
yep. I think it's good. And a lot of people listen and go, well, I'm not an investor, but what investors do impacts you massively, probably more than you realize. So if you're a first home buyer and you're hearing, oh, I'm not an investor, I just looking for my first house. First home buyer, you are an investor. It's not the house you're going to live in forever. This is an investment
Yeah,
as your first home. Second home buyer, you can miss out on blocks that are valued properly and good sharp pricing wherever it is in the estate that you want to live in because they're getting snapped up by people who are coming in before you. So I would say comfortably and confidently that we've had now 9 months of investors back in Melbourne market would be right. It's actually been longer, but in terms of bigger numbers, they're definitely there. So you should take the example of that and go, okay, I need to probably, if you think about building, I need to get my ducks in a row now. So that's definitely the case. The opportunity we see ahead is really the next quarter or two, next 6 months. There's still title land available. So if you're going to build in 2026 or planning on it, I would suggest you do it. Get cracking in January, February, or March in terms of doing your homework, getting all that stuff sorted, because towards the end of 2026, it perhaps won't be. It won't be as easy to get a title block of land, I should say, and as a result, it means that the demand is high and the supply is low. So what's going to happen is the price of that title block will go up. So we did say in October, Darren, 2025, get a block now. We said go, like literally go now before December. Feedback, I guess, unfortunately, a lot of people still think it's salesy of us to say that. Then we said it again in December. The prices went up significantly just in that 2-month period. And then to December last year to December now this year, you would have a pretty big difference in terms of the money saved. So those people who took action 12 months ago, got themselves a block of land, started building a house throughout this year, they will save more money than those of you who were hesitant and went, oh, no, the interest rates, or, oh, no, I don't trust the builder, all these sorts of things. We've had a solid 12 months of, I guess, builders performing, which is really good. I'm not saying they're all perfect, but we've seen that. The timeframes are more realistic, getting to site within 3 or 4 months, building a single story in around 5 or 6 months. Double stories vary, the bigger ones and things like that, but there's a bit more consistency, so you can have a bit more confidence in that. Some people will take that the right way, some will take it the wrong way, Darren. That's okay, but that's just the truth of what we've seen through this year. And we're telling you again, if you're going to build in Melbourne, then you probably need to take action the next couple of months.
For sure. And I guess leading from that, Cole, would be, we've put together some steps that you can take now looking into the new year, particularly that period, you're about to roll into Christmas, all the rush of that. And then all of a sudden, you hit a lot of people have time off. They're not working between Christmas and New Year, and you've got that lull. So it's a great opportunity to start preparing. A lot of people know they're probably going to make a New Year's resolution. They want to buy a new home. They want to make that happen. So starting to piece that puzzle together now and leading in over the Christmas break, you can sit on your computer, on the couch, or on your iPad, or on your phone, or whatever, and do your research, get up and about, and start looking at things and understand what that path ahead looks like for you. So, we've put together 6 key steps to take away. And the first one of those we would say is get your finance ready. So number one is ask your mortgage broker when they're going to return to work so you can book in early and look at your borrowing capacity, arrange a pre-approval, give yourself absolute confidence on what you're going to be able to borrow, look at what lenders are the best lender for you, talk with your broker. Again, if you don't have a broker, jump on our website. We've got a couple of the best brokers in Melbourne, if not in Australia, there that can certainly help you out. So, yeah, that's number one would be get your finance ready so that you can roll into 2026 with real confidence and a bit of zest to go buy your brand new home.
Yep.
It's number 2, mate.
Well, the next 3 are sort of all at the same time in a roundabout kind of way, but one of those things is check the builder reopening dates. Some of the builders will open pretty early when you come back in January, and you want to make sure that you get out there, out and about, and see what's available. They're all pretty fired up to perform too. Builders coming back, they're pretty pumped, getting ready for a new wave of buyers. So they're happy to talk, which sort of leads into the next point, number 3, Daz.
Yeah, and I was surprised actually, Cole, on those builders. I had lunch with a mate who works for a competitor builder, and they don't come back till the 15th. I nearly fell off my chair. The guys I work for are back on the 3rd. I thought most people back on the 3rd, maybe the 5th. They're not back till the 15th. Like, thank you, that builder. Thanks. Stay closed for an extra couple of weeks. Good for us. But it's just interesting. So really check that out, because you don't want to wander down the display home hoping you've done your research, seen the house online, and then you can't go see it for 2 weeks. So number 3 would be review upcoming promotions. We know that January often brings fresh offers. It also brings out some new displays. So you'll see a lot of builders, they chose not to open before Christmas, so they opened that brand new display. So there's probably going to be some really nice new displays out there to go and check out. They often have limited time deals to kick the year off, get a bit of momentum up early. So be prepared and compare fast. Make sure that you're doing all that work. If you need a great comparison checklist, if you're starting to get that stuff together, jump on our website, homebuildinghub.com.au, on the resources tab. There's plenty of things that are going to be able to help you out in piecing that together. So that'd be number 3, mate. Number 4.
Yeah, so those resources we moved across to school. So skool.com, search Home Building Hub. We've got heaps of resources in there for you. So if you're getting started, just go there. It will definitely help. So there's more on that, but we'll cover that another time. The next point would be, now you got an idea of, I guess, who you want to look at, where you want to go. You want to have a look on realestate.com.au and openlot.com.au or similar sites just to see what packages are available. So if you've got finance sorted, you know where your budget is. Now you can sort of start seeing, well, what's possible. If I build in an estate that's close by to the city or not as far out, the land price is going to be more, which means the house price, house size and price you can afford will be less. But you might travel, 1 or 2 suburbs further down the highway, and then as a result, you can get a slightly bigger block for slightly less, and then you can get a bigger house as a result. So you need to start doing those things in terms of the numbers for one, and looking at packages available help you, I guess, narrow down that. But one of the other things is just jump in the car and check out those estates, check out the local amenities, go and have a coffee, visit the parks and shops, and think about your current situation, but your future situation as well, whether it be having kids and whatnot, and how that's going to look, where your work is and how you get there, the shops and the upcoming things as well. The land officers will show you, here's the master plan, here's what we're going to do. So there's what you can see now, it's tangible, it's in front of you. There's also, well, what's the plan? So you want to find the sweet spot, I suppose, of not getting in after it's all done, because then you'll be paying a premium, but also getting in when you're comfortable, I suppose, with the few things that are already available and accessible to you. So public transport, hospital, doctors, all that stuff you want to be checking out and making sure that you do your homework on that, and just starting really wide and just gradually narrowing it down to a few different options is generally that step.
For sure. That's good. I think the next one would be once you've sort of done a little bit of that, you can really start to shortlist. You know what I mean? You've gone from that broad look to, I'm down to 1, 2, maybe 3 land estates, and start to do your homework on those. So find out, what have they got for sale? Price this often on their websites. Shoot an email off to the land agency if they can shoot you back a price list. Have a look when land titles are available. Is there much on the price list at all? Might be very short right now. We're certainly seeing a shortage of smaller blocks in the market. So again, if you're looking for something smaller, what's that look like? What's the timeframes look like on that? The release dates, and really hone in. Use this time to get right down to the nitty gritty. I've ruled out these 4 or 5 estates, but I'm down to these 1 or 2. And that'll really allow you to jump the gun straight away in the new year. And get out there, visit that land office, visit those displays, talk to the builders. And again, as we always say, talk to the builder before you buy a block, just to make sure it's the right block. Get some advice off them. It's free advice, so they can give you advice on fall, fill, orientation. All those things are going to impact your home and impact the cost of the home. So talk to them about that. They'll really guide you through that.
Yep.
But if you can really get down to the nitty gritty over that period, it means you're not going to be wasting time when everyone else is starting to do their homework. You're already ahead of the game. So, yeah. And the last one, mate?
Yeah, we'll work with a couple of consultants that you've sort of, through your visits, come to like, and they will help you with that process. They're experts at that. That's what they're there for. Unless you know how to read engineering and work out site costs and estate requirements, all those things yourself, which I'm yet to find a client who can, in the level of detail that a consultant can. It's really, that's what they're there for. Okay, you don't have to do it all by yourself, but it's an option there. So I think one thing I forgot to mention, Darren, we just released last week a webinar on that school community about this part of the process. So if you're just looking to start and you're working out, well, what do I look for on realestate.com? How do I find the package, and what estate is better than others and how do I navigate that. We've actually recorded a webinar just showing you that first part, how to do it, getting your needs and wants list, putting some numbers into a budget sheet and things like that. So you can go and watch that in the school community, and then we will follow up with a more detailed one on Darren's point he just said. So actually reviewing specific lots and engineering plans and all that sort of stuff to help you navigate and really narrow down the ultimate 2 or 3 options for you. So last point, I guess, once you've done that, you're doing them in tandem, bit of land, bit of house. You can't just go and buy a block of land and then hope that a house fits, and you can't commit to a house unless you've got a block of land. You need them sort of working together. So as part of the process to help finish that, you've then got to work through and go, okay, now I need to narrow down and choose my estate. I need to choose my builder, my home design, and start shortlisting those options. You're talking about reviewing floor plans, inclusions, facade options and pricing, upgrade packages or upgrades in general, and getting all those questions in order so you can go to a consultant and say, here's sort of what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's the final step before you, I guess, are in a position to make the choice, Darren. Yeah.
Great. No, mate, fantastic. I guess to wrap up the episode, this is our last episode before Christmas, Cole. So, we'd really like to thank everyone who's listened throughout the year. Hopefully we've provided value to you. As Colin's mentioned a couple of times, we have launched a new school community, so we'd really encourage you to check it out. If you've got a bit of time over the break, download the app and check us out on there. We're trying to, really help home buyers through their journey and provide more value. We've got our perks portal that hopefully throughout 2026 you'll see grow, and there'll be some opportunities for you guys to get some really good discounts along the way, and from companies that we recommend because their services are fantastic, and they're people we know, and not just randos off the street that are willing to put something up. So that we are genuinely looking at people that we would trust and use ourselves, which is the right way to go about it, I think. So, but thanks for listening throughout the year. Cole, really appreciate everything you've done, mate. You're the man behind the scenes that gets all the grunt work done for us, mate, on the podcast. So it's been another really good year, mate. I think this is our third episode before Christmas we've done, right? 3 years in a row. So it's been fantastic, mate. Still really enjoying it. So looking forward to 2026, and we'll keep digging into great topics for you guys to really enjoy.
Yeah. Here. Well said, Daz. Same back to you and to everyone who listens or watches and enjoys the podcast. Thank you. And please jump into the school thing, because we think that's more of a visual component, more of experience, people sharing their stories and stuff. We're not there yet, but as it grows, it'll be really, really valuable. And that's all we're here for. So other than that, guys, have a great break. We look forward to seeing you guys in 2026.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. And just our disclaimer, whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered as legal or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your personal situation before making any legal or financial decisions.
1, 2,